Welcome to 30 Days of Marketing Mavens. 30 days, 30 experts, 30 marketing niches. Brought to you by Profit Master Business Solutions. More leads, more sales, and more revenue for your small or medium-sized business. Click findnewrevenue.com to learn more. Now here's your host, Howard Walpoff.
Welcome back for 30 Days of Marketing Mavens. I'm Howard Walpoff, your host. Again, this is brought to you by Profit Master Business Solutions. Today, we're talking about leveraging your plan. First, you got to have a plan, and then you have to know how to leverage it. We have a really great expert here with us today. Her name is Patti Farmer. She makes business people into powerhouses and really has some great experience in helping you get that plan moving. So, Patti, welcome to the conversation today.
I am really excited about being here. These are my favorite kind of conversations.
Well, perfect. I'm glad to have you here, and I look forward to where our conversation goes today. So you have a really interesting background in marketing, and I always wonder where people get their start. So can you share with us, how did you get started in marketing? What was your entryway?
So my entryway was that I was in the mortgage business originally. And so, of course, being in the mortgage business was also about marketing. Right. So it was always really important. And when you look at it, everybody used to say, Patti, why is, your pipeline so full? Well, because I spent so much more time on marketing. That was really important to me. And then in 2008, we all know what happened in 2008 in the mortgage industry, right? I just kind of totally just flipped the switch then and realized that marketing was really what my passion was. And I really felt like it was really where my core competency was as well. And I loved it so much. So I just flipped into that. And a big thing happened to me that year too. I moved, sold my company, and moved to a town where I didn't know anybody. So I moved to Dallas, big, huge metroplex here. And that day, that moment in time that was pivotal for me was I sat there waiting for my furniture to be delivering, and I was having this little pity party, right? Going, oh my gosh, Patti, you don't know not one person here. And all of a sudden I realized that I'm in the people business, and I am in a town that has literally millions of people. So I made the decision in that moment that in 1 year I was going to know 100,000 people, and I was going to make $100,000 doing it. I did it in 9 months, didn't even take the year, but it was a power play for me. And I just knew that if I had the right strategy and I was willing to do the work, I could do it. And I did.
That's fantastic. And sometimes starting out in a new city, it is a blank slate. So there's gives you some better opportunities than if you're trying to kind of re-network in the market you've been living in for a number of years. So there's again, like looking at the bright side of a situation like that, but doing it in 9 months is pretty incredible.
And I think it gives you an opportunity to look at something differently too. Because I think that if you ask people, are you B2B or B2C? They're pretty clear. They'll come right back with an answer, right? But in reality, we're not in either, or we're in both. We're really in the P2P business. We're in the people-to-people business. And so when I really realized that I am in a new town that is filled with people and I don't know anyone, that was really an opportunity. Right. And so once I just kind of shifted my mindset on that and then got to work and made a plan, everything changed for me then.
So what kind of strategies were you using to create those interactions with people?
I think the most important thing for me at that time was I knew I needed to get out and network. But I also knew that because I was really big in networking when I lived in Las Vegas as well, that I needed to be able to do leverage networking. And what I really mean by that is we've all experienced the times where, people say, oh, it all happens at the coffee shop, right? But the reality is, have you ever gone to a coffee shop with someone and walked out 90 minutes later and thought, there's 90 minutes of my life I'll never get back, right? I mean, we all have. So for me, it was really like, why are you having coffee with someone if they're not the right someone? So I got really good at being able to come up with good questions that led me to know if they were somebody that I needed to go have coffee. I love to go have coffee with people. I'm known for that, but I don't do it just meet somebody and say, oh, let's go have coffee. We have a conversation first, and in 7 minutes, I can ask the questions I need to know that lets me know where I need to go.
And that's a talent. It's something that people can learn, but there's definitely a internal talent that comes with having that ability, and it obviously made your path a lot faster because that you're able to really make those type of connections and clear the path of who you needed to be to working with. And for you, it's great that it monetized so quickly as well.
Well, I think that one of the things is people know that they need to make connection. But one of the things I always like to say is every person you meet in the beginning is a contact. And the only difference between a contact and a contract is that R. And that R stands for relationships. And that's really what it is really about building those relationships. And so it has been really something that I think is the backbone of my business, is really building relationships with people. And a lot of that is really about asking the right questions. Like, for example, the number one question that people like to ask, I never ask this question ever, and I teach my clients not to too, is really honestly the question, what do you do? Really honestly is not even an important question. I don't even know why people ask it. It makes no sense to me. The better question really is, who do you serve? That is what is really important, is to really be able to know who someone serves. So whether they serve the same people as you, whether that's an opportunity for you to go, right? But the bottom line is who they serve. It takes the spotlight off of them and puts it on where it should be, which is the consumer.
And definitely makes you stand out as someone for them to want to know and speak to you. You're not asking the same questions as everybody else. And that would lead to you being of a different mindset than everybody else.
I think so too. I have two questions that I ask after that. The second question quickly being, what differentiates you from everybody else that does what you do? I think that's really important to know. I mean, like, if you know a realtor, I know 100 realtors, right? But what makes you different than every other realtor I know? So that's important to me. And when people are asking questions and they're just having conversation, when I say to somebody, well, you know what? I know a lot of people. And if I was going to tell them about you, what would you want me to tell them? I'm going to tell you right now, there's no more fluff. They're telling me the value they bring to the marketplace right now, and that's what I need to know. So in reality, if I know what makes them different, and I know who they serve, and I know the value they bring to the marketplace, what else do I need to know in order to make a decision about whether or not I should go have coffee with them?
And those questions are outstanding, and it really does clear the path of the strong and the weak when it comes to the kind of answers you're getting. And obviously the strong ones are the ones that hopefully will lead you to that contract in whether it's them or the contacts that they have and the people they interact with.
I think so too. And then I think that right now, because we do so much virtual work, right? You know, we do a lot of things. Virtual coffee is really, really big. The last question I always want to know, we don't always get there, but the last question I always want to know is, what social media platform do you hang out on? Because here's the thing, just because you're on Facebook, they could be on Twitter, right? So you need to know, where do they hang out? So when you think about it, here's my technique that I use. When I get to the point that we exchange business cards, if we do, right, I always just say to them, like, where do you like to hang out? And my business card in my mind, so it's all about in your mind, like the top right corner is LinkedIn, the bottom right corner is Twitter, and then it's Instagram, right? And so and then it's whatever it is for you. Everybody's is different. But once I walk away from that conversation, I just bend the corner of where they told me they hang out. So think about if you had a whole stack of business cards, wow, right? And all you had to do is go connect with them on the place they just told you is where they hang out. Doesn't do you any good to connect with them on 5 different platforms if they just told you where they hang out. So now think of all that information that you got in 5 minutes.
That is incredible. And I paused the conversation for a moment that anyone who is watching this, I would definitely suggest, once you finish, go back, get a piece of paper and write those down, because this is an incredible way to really change your interactions at any networking event you're going to be going to. I know it definitely changes some of my questions, and I look forward to seeing the responses from that. And thank you for that, for providing that, Patti.
No problem.
But let me ask you, when it comes to working with companies and talking about their strategies, how do you really break down who is, I guess, who is on a good path, who is not on a good path, who understands the right strategies and how to leverage them?
Oh, I love this question, because I feel like, you know, we've all heard that term, you know, zone of genius, right? You know, what is your zone of genius? What's your brilliance, right? Work in your brilliance and let everybody else work in theirs. I have to tell you, this is the one thing that I'd love to do more than anything, is I feel like I can talk to someone for 5 minutes and really look at everything they do. And I want to be able to say, okay, you can stop talking now. I've already made you $1 million. Because I think that one of the things that people do is they do all these things, but they don't have a strategy, they don't have a plan, and they don't know how to leverage them. And so it's just like having all these tools, right? You just, they're using a hammer when they should be using a screwdriver. They have no idea because they don't even know what the tools do. They just think, oh, they saw it on Facebook. I should buy this. Oh, I should take this webinar. I should, do this. I should do that. But the bottom line is, what's the strategy of how you're going to put all those in place? Do you even know where you want to be? And how are those tools going to get you there? That is the most important part. So I feel like my role is helping them to look at the tools that they already have and know, do we need to buy a few more tools? Do they have all the tools that they need to have? How can we put them all together to have a plan? And what is their monetization goal? What is it that they want to do? Because really, the bottom line is, how do you monetize it? That's where everybody drops the ball. They're doing all these things, and then they're really not monetizing their business at all, or very little.
And if you're going to make the effort to do anything, you want to make sure that there's a reward in the end, and have that right monetizing strategy is what's going to build and define your business for the next few years, not just what you're doing today.
I think that's true. And I think one of the bigger questions that I always like to say to someone is this, like, a lot of times they'll come to me and they're like, oh, Patti, I created this $10,000 program, or I created this $5,000 program, and I want you to help me learn how to market it so that, I can do it. And then here's my number one question I ask them. Have you ever written a check for $5,000? Because the thing for me is, if you have never written a check for $5,000 and you're trying to sell something for $5,000, it's just not going to work. Because the best investment you can ever make is an investment in yourself. And you cannot ask anybody else to invest in you if you are not willing to invest in you. So it all starts with you. Be the CEO of your company and step up, and know that if you want somebody else to do something, you have to do it first.
My mind goes in different directions with that, because you see these sales, the emails you get, and the types of programs that people are putting out there. And you always wonder what was in their thought process, other than, this is a fast way for me to make money, of what is it really expressing and sharing to people with what they're doing. And you want to make sure that if you're jumping into a project like that, there's really somebody backing it up. Again, if you can't write a check like that, you really want to make sure that who people are writing it are getting value, not just filling in your bank account in the process.
Absolutely. I think it is really, really important. And it kind of goes back to that building relationships that I like to tell people all the time, is, if you're building relationships, right, that really can help your bank account. However, if you build those same relationships with service and support, right, instead of just worrying about a sale, it can also be your retirement account. It's all in how you build it and what the plan is, right? We all have to make money. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I help people monetize their business. That is big for me. But the reality really is, do you have the things in place? You can't just get on, the internet and look and see what everybody else is charging and go, oh, I can charge that, if you're not providing that value. Like, what are you bringing to the table? It is really important. In the end, it all comes back to you, because it's not about you. It's really about them. And a lot of times people want to say, oh, I can do this, I'm a this. But the reality is, it's not about you. It's like, what are you going to do for them? Because what they want to know is, what are the results I will get if I hire you? Not all the 50,000 things you've done.
Exactly. They are hiring you for a specific reason, and that reason needs to be fulfilled to make them happy and choose to continue to work with you, or share how great you were with somebody else. And that's really the bottom line, as you said. Now, with all the different things that you're strategizing with companies, what would you say is the number one strategy that's really working well for you and your clients to achieve their marketing goals?
I would say the number one strategy is that you have to leverage everything you do. And I don't just mean in that moment. You need to leverage it before, during, or after. So yes, I'm in the marketing and media business, but I'm also a speaker, right? And I have a podcast as well. Every time you're doing something, so if you're on a podcast, you should be talking about it before, during, after. You should already know your plan for how you're going to leverage it. If you're speaking, you need to be figuring out, why are you speaking on that stage? Who are in the seats, right? Is this your target market? Are they target buyers? You need to be able to know who is in that seat. So you have to leverage every single thing you do. And that doesn't just happen by putting a graphic up and say, oh, I'm so excited I was on somebody's podcast. That is not leverage.
It's really in the action and what you're doing. Business life is a puzzle. and every piece that you're doing has to fit in well together to make sure that that the picture ends up being the way you want it to, and taking advantage of podcasts, that you're promoting yourself in the right way and expressing other things that you're doing to people so they know what's going on. It has to be part of that strategy in everything that you're doing. It should be clear to companies, but it's not always the case.
I agree with you. I think it is very, very important for people to understand the results they're going to get, and they get that by looking at everything you do, not just what you say. So you need to make sure, am I showing up that way? Is what I am doing showing up that way? And that's part about being that CEO too, right? If you're the CEO of your company, that means you own your calendar. It always cracks me up when people make appointments and then say, oh, somebody walked into the office and so I can't do that. And I'm like, really? So the thing is, really, what are you leveraging? You should be leveraging your time, your money, your energy, your resources, right? Your relationships. You have a lot of tools in your toolbox. How are you leveraging them? And you also should be leveraging what's happening in the world too, right? Newsjacking is really, really big, and people should be using that all the time. It's like one of the number one things I do for my business and for my clients is how can you do that? So I think all of those things come into play. They're all tools like we talked about earlier, but the strategy really has to be, how do you leverage every single thing you do?
And I hope people are hearing that, because it's very important that they get the plan, you implement the plan, and you leverage the plan, and success will come from that. If you waver from any of that, you're going to feel the bumps in the process because you didn't go forward with the process.
Absolutely.
And, I appreciate you sharing that information and the unbelievable questions that I hope people now have in their arsenal when it comes to going out and networking and developing this business. So with that said, what are ways that people can get in contact with you to learn more of these incredible resources that you've already shared?
So the best way is to just go to my website, which is pattifarmer.com, Patti with a Y, and every single thing about me there, right? It's all a nice one hub. Make it easy for people to find you. That's part of leverage, right? Make it easy.
Well, I definitely love the fact how easy this conversation was, and the pieces that you have shared today. I've gone through a lot of these interviews, and every time I go through them, I said, who's the next one that's going to really blow me away with some of the concepts? And some of them are so simple. Just having the right structured questions really changes the conversation entirely. And I appreciate you sharing that with me, you sharing that with our viewers here. And I hope that many will comment in the Facebook group of how they've been successful in utilizing this as time goes on. So thank you so much for joining us, and really thank you for what you shared.
Thank you so much for having me. I knew I'd enjoy the conversation, and you didn't disappoint. It was a great conversation. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And thank you all again for watching, for participating, for being a part of this. Again, this 30 Days of Marketing Mavens brought to you by Profit Master Business Solutions. Go out, have a great day today, and we'll see you the next time.